Hi and hello watch fans, and welcome to another edition of The Real Time Show with me, your friendly neighbourhood watchmaker, Rob Nuds. Today I am joined by the host, founder and ringleader of the Best of British Watches event, which is held every year in September in Brighton, Kevin Roberts. Welcome to the studio once more, Kevin.
Thank you very much, Rob, for that wonderful introduction. And I have to say thank you as well to Alon, David, and Scarlett for letting me be on your show and talk about the best of British watches and, of course, myself.
I know they would all love to be here, but of course it's the middle of the day on a Sunday, and this is not normally when we record, but as we're both busy people running around doing jobs and visiting watch retailers to try and potential new additions to the collection as you've been doing this week, then we thought we'd take this quiet opportunity just before the Wimbledon finals about to kick off to record together, because of course your event, the third edition of your event, is coming up pretty fast now. This episode's going out on August the 24th, and that's just 3 short weeks away from the third edition of the Best of British Watches. And you're going to be held this year on Saturday the 13th of September at 1 to 5 p.m. at the Old Ship Hotel in Brighton. That's where you've been previously as well. So we're going to dive into some more of the details on how you secure a ticket for this event at the end of the show. But before we do that, we're going to do what we've never done before, even though you have featured on the Real Time Show a couple of times in the past, once to promote this very event a couple of years back, and also live from British Watchmakers Day, a scene in which you're very much involved. We're going to talk to you about you, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Kevin Roberts, the man behind this micro brand extravaganza. So Kevin, take us right back to the very beginning. Where did it start? Where were you born? How did you find yourself growing up a watch fan? And what's the state of play as we speak today?
I don't know really where to start. I mean, I'm a very modest person, to be perfectly honest. Grew up on a South London council estate. We had no money. And so I remember my first watch, which I really wanted. Believe it or not, it was a Tag Heuer. And this was when I was about 16, around about that time. I was just getting into Formula One. And of course, they were big advertisers in the Formula One scene at that time. And we didn't have any money. My sisters, I've got two sisters, we lived on a council estate. And I begged them to get me a Tag Heuer watch. Now, bearing in mind we had no money, I got them to spend £20 on a fake Tag Heuer watch, which actually got me over that itch. And I have to say, that's where it started. I still have the watch. It's tiny. It's a 34mm F1 watch. They don't do it anymore. But I still have it in my collection. I don't wear it because my wrists are far too big for it now. But basically, that's where it started. A £20 fake Tag Heuer F1 watch.
Well, you pulled it round there at the end, because I was about to call foul where you start off telling us, we came from no money, we grew up on a council estate, first watch at 16 was a Tag Heuer. I was like, hang on a second. Either you nicked it, which I would believe.
Which possibly, yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of hoping that was where the story was going. I was like, oh, this is pretty raw. This is nice, yeah. Straight from the mean streets of South London. So
Yes.
the gentrified air of Brighton. But yeah, no, so you didn't nick it. You forced your similarly hard up sisters to shell out 20 quid on a fake Tag Formula One. So not only do you have no money, you had no taste. Wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is low. That is low. I have taste. It's developed from there. Don't you worry. It certainly has developed.
Yeah, it can't get any worse, can it? Come on, tell us how it developed after this fake tag. Scratched the itch at 16, but obviously got you excited about watches and got you into the field even more. How did you progress from that? What did you buy next? What was the first non-fake watch you bought? And how did you end up with enough cash to become a watch collector yourself?
Got a job, 16, in the construction, and I thought, you know what, everybody's got these big watches. At the time, it was the big Rolexes. And I remember a time, it's a story I was told at the time, back in the day, back in the 80s, there was lots of bribery and corruption going on in the construction industry. Shock horror, believe it or not, it did happen. And I remember the bosses went out to Ireland for probably one of the big races over there. And the contractor who took them said, in the duty-free shop at Heathrow, have whatever you want, take whatever you want, and I'll pay for it. And people were taking Rolexes, big Breitling watches, whatever they could find, and so they ended up. I'm sure the contractor spent, as well as flying them out, accommodation, parties over there. Everybody ended up with a Rolex or a Breitling watch, and yeah. But that was back in the 80s. It doesn't happen now, I can assure you. And from there, when they came back, oh, that's a nice piece they had. And obviously, I couldn't afford a Rolex, but I was interested in a Annie Digital Breitling watch. It had to have an alarm, and I wanted something dual time because I could fancy myself traveling at some point in my life. And so I ended up with a Airwolf, which I still have to date, and it's a lovely piece. I do love it a lot. And I remember going to various boutiques, Selfridges, and even places outside of the UK, looking at this watch, think, yeah, one day I'm going to have this watch, definitely going to purchase it. And lo and behold, I did. We went to, my wife and I, or his girlfriend at the time, went to Jersey, and we popped into a boutique over there who specialised in Breitling watches, put an order in, and they said, yeah, wait 4, 5, 6 months. We'll let you know when it comes in. And I got the call 6, 8 months later, which coincided with my wife's birthday. And so I did a really, really naughty thing. As a treat to her, I said to her, let's go on your birthday, we'll go to Jersey. And for a nice romantic weekend away, 5-star hotel, champagne, caviar, the full works to celebrate your birthday, knowing full well that at some point on the Saturday, I would have to pop into a boutique and spend about £1,800 on the watch for myself, whilst on her birthday. And yeah, that's exactly what I did. Didn't go down too well, of course, but yeah, she finally forgave me. But she did have a good time in Jersey, I can assure you. Not just the champagne and canapes and the hotel.
Okay, well, we don't need to picture that. Despicable bastards. What are you like, honestly? Oh, well, I'll tell you what, I've met your wife many times, and for our listeners that don't know your wife, what's your wife's name?
Eneline.
So Eneline, frequently appears at events, I would say chaperoning you, making sure you don't do anything too controversial or misbehave too much. She's only successful about 50% of the time, but she's obviously into watches herself now, isn't she? Because she's got quite a few nice pieces and she knows what she's talking about. She's certainly been around them for long enough, especially since that fateful holiday in Jersey all those years ago. So what does she wear on her?
She normally wears on her wrist a Studio Underdog. She's a big fan of Richard and the brand. She does have a Rolex Datejust, which she does wear. And also she does wear, Fears. I bought her a Fears Brunswick white dial a couple of years ago. That's hers, but we do share it. And what else is she? That's generally it. Those are the 3 main watches she wears. She's also looking at Denison, which is really surprising, considering not because of the brand, but I think she's still developing her taste. I know it takes a while for somebody to definitively define what exactly they want and what they don't like about watches. So I was quite surprised that she says, yeah, she wants a Denison. And not just any Denison, it's got to be the one with the diamonds around the bezel. She's not cheap, my wife, I can assure you.
No, well, she's obviously become accustomed to, hanging out with a very successful man, because as we can glean from this, you did eventually get the cash necessary through your career to become a proper watch collector. And now you've got not just your fake tag and your Breitling Airwolf, but plenty of other pieces to your name. So tell me this, do you ever sell any of the watches you buy? Have you ever sold any, or do you keep them all?
I generally keep them all. There has been 1 or 2 which I have sold, which I just didn't get on with. One of them, I'm going to tell you, which is going to be shocking to most people, is Rolex OP41 silver dial. I just found it a bit bland, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, well, it is.
So I had that for a very short while.
And what was the other one that you got rid of, or another one?
Oh, my Tudor Booker Blue.
Oh, did you? Oh, you had that, but you didn't like it so much. Just again, a bit bland.
But no, it was just the fact that the original reason was the fact that it tarnished. But for some reason, that's when I subsequently bought a Tudor Black Bay boutique edition, which is the full bronze with the bronze bracelet.
Wow. Okay.
So there's no logic to that argument. But I think it was just based a little bit slab-sided, to be perfectly honest, the Baccarat Bleu.
Yeah, well, common criticism, I guess, and it isn't for everybody on the wrist. But I mean, it's good to have had it and to have tried it and to moved on from it. But I mean, you've got the best part of 40 years of collecting behind you now, I guess.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry to point it out, mate, but that is the case. So what else have you got in your collection? Tell us some more standout pieces that still make it onto the wrist now and then.
Recently this week, I've been wearing my Amiga Speedmaster 45th anniversary, Apollo 13 45th anniversary, which is set in the gold and maroon grey, whatever, it changes colour in the light. It's a lovely piece. Very underrated, limited edition. I think 1,969 were made. And I love it. I love it. Out of all of the Amigas, I think that is one of the top 3 they've ever made, top 5. But it's really under the radar. Nobody really knows about it. But I wore it to Time and Tide on Thursday when I went to see the Zenith Time and Tide collaboration watch. And Andrew surprisingly knew everything about it. Andrew from Time and Tide. So
we know who Andrew from. We know who Andrew. It's also not that surprising that one of the foremost watch journalists in the world is aware of the watch. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but I was still surprised because nobody knows about it. But apart from proper watch people, and I consider him a proper watch person, a proper geek.
Yeah, I think we probably most of us consider him a proper watch person by this point. Yeah, he's done his bit, I think. So how was the event? Is that the third collab that Zenith and Time and Tide have done together?
It certainly is. They've launched the White Surfer, which is the full white ceramic case and bracelet. It is lovely, skeletonized dial. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I think it's limited to 100 pieces, and it's £17,700, which is definitely a considered purchase.
It is indeed, but I mean, it is a gorgeous piece, isn't it? And it sort of completes their trio, doesn't it? They've got a nice little sub-collection or capsule collection there for them and the studios in both London and Melbourne, which, if any of our visitors are yet to visit, are definitely worth popping along to see. What else have you seen in the Time and Tide studio since it opened a few months ago?
I've seen the Blancpain. They had an event with Blancpain a couple of weeks before that, which was quite interesting. They had the 50 Fathoms and had some pieces flown over from Switzerland from the museum. That was very interesting. And, of course, Denison, been in there to have a chat with them about Denison when it first opened up. So that was, is it coming up to a year they've been open now?
It will be by the time this episode goes out. Yeah, it will be. It's close to. I mean, Denison launched officially in October 2024, and there wasn't much about the brand kicking around before that date. It kind of exploded onto the scene, and then it became talk of the town. Obviously, those watches are selling like hotcakes, and I know Time and Tide are shifting a few units a week, which is kind of unsurprising again, because I mean, that is the destination store for watches in London at the moment, and that is an incredibly priced product. I believe the current GBP price for a Denison Stone Dial ALD is around £522, which is a bargain. Of course, your wife, as you mentioned earlier, has got her sights set on a slightly more rarefied version thereof, the diamond-studded version, which is similar to the one worn by Emmanuel, the designer, and actually not in the catalogue at all. So it's an off-catalogue model.
It certainly is. So, before I spend a subsequent amount of money, I certainly would like to see it again in the metal. But I'm trying to persuade her to go just for the standard stone dial versions, but she's not having it. She's not having it at all.
I mean, I tell you what, it's a special, special piece to get one of those ALDs diamond studded. I know it is quite a step up in cash, because I believe the price is between £3,000 and £4,000. I may be sort of getting polluted by the euros in my brain as my standard currency, but it's over 3k. It's a lot of diamonds. It's some nice work. It looks great. And given the trajectory the Denison brand is on, it might not be a bad time to buy something like that. But yeah, we shall see. We shall see what she decides. And I'm sure that you'll give her whichever one she wants to make up for that Jersey holiday all those years ago.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, God, don't worry. She rubs it in. She certainly reminds me from time to time. But bless her, she's absolutely an amazing person, and I don't know what I'll do without her. And yeah, she deserves everything she gets. So yeah,
Does she help in the organisation of the Best of British Watches event?
a little bit. She's going to be on the desk, definitely helping out. But yeah, it's basically just myself, help from a few other people, organizing it. But it's just basically myself, and it came about just because we wanted to do something along the coast. As you probably know, I also run Red Bar Southeast. I've always been, passionate about British watches, and I have a good collection of Fears watches, Studio Underdog as well. I've got an Isotope on order, which I'm waiting for. Lots of Christopher Wards as well. So, I do practice what I preach. I do like British watches, and you know, British watchmaking is on a boom at this moment in time. There is so much happening in the watch world. Everybody's interested in producing watches. There's brands coming out of the woodwork, new brands coming up, micro brands coming up. Every 2-3 weeks there's a new one coming up which nobody's ever heard of, and it's just people who are passionate and want to develop something which represents what they think is missing in the watch market, but also represents what they want. So yeah, it's fantastic. Great time to be British.
It is a golden age of British watchmaking in terms of the diversity and also the worthwhile projects taking place in accessible price brackets. Because there was a lot of projects that were very emulative and very mediocre in terms of aesthetics, but that's kind of gone by the wayside now. Every brand that comes out really has a mission to do something, and those missions may not be as apparent from one brand to the next, but they are there. There are stories, there are goals, there are lots of experience being poured into these new designs. And we can touch on the differences between some of the brands that will be presenting at the Best of British Watches in a moment, of course. I just wanted to ask one more question regarding your collection. Do you possibly have any or aspire to ever own any of, let me say, the big three? I didn't ever really categorize this as the holy triumvirate of British watchmaking, but I would say Roger Smith, Frodsham, and Struthers would comfortably fit in that trinity. Do you cover any of these watches, any of these brands, or is it just way off the edge of the map for you?
In an ideal world, yes, I would love a Roger Smith. However, they are just so expensive. Rightly so. Don't get me wrong. He can charge whatever he wants, and good luck to him for that. They are absolutely beautiful. And the fact that he does, is it 12 a year? Not much more than that. Yeah, they are unattainable for me at this moment in time. If I obviously won the lottery, that'll be certainly on my list of purchase and wait. What's the waiting time? 10 years, 12 years? Something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's quite a while now. I mean, I
Yeah.
think they make around 10 to 12 pieces a year. So yeah, you're not going to get one anytime soon. And a man of your advanced years probably hasn't got a chance in hell of getting one before you cop it.
Cheers. So basically, yeah, I'll be in the grave before I actually get one.
You never know, mate. I mean, well, I'm only bringing that up because off air, what people don't realize, if you threatened to kill me in a very creative fashion, which I guess we should relay to our audience, because I made a joke about talking about your past, but not touching on the period of time that you served the British government as an assassin. And then you rather chillingly threatened to end my life while I was dressed in my velvet tuxedo, which you caught me in once. Is that not correct?
That is correct, yes. And the method, I mean, we're talking about myself and size, and you're a smaller person than I am. So the option was to actually sit on you with my trousers down. That would be the ideal way. And and you wearing velvet, keep my arse warm, of course. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win for me.
It's a win-win for you. Yeah, it's a horrifying end to my story, but like I said, if you're going to be killed, you might as well be killed by something you love, and yeah, your ass is top of the list, mate. So yeah, thanks for that, and I'm hoping that our listeners do recover from this. If anyone knows both Kevin and I and has seen us standing next to one another, they will be able to imagine the physical comedy of this situation, because Kevin's probably about a foot taller than me and probably the same broader, and
Yes.
yeah, it would be no contest, I think. Anyway, my impending doom aside, should you actually live long enough to receive a Roger Smith, I'd be very glad to see one on your wrist. But what about one of the other brands? I mean, for me, I suppose I'd probably cover a Struthers above all others when it comes to British watchmaking. I know they're making a push to produce their in-house movements now to do less of, what can we call it? It doesn't refurbishment or restoration, doesn't even do it justice, I guess, but reimagining, I guess, of old pieces, old components, bringing them to life in new cases with exquisite dials. Their in-house stuff is going to be world class, and I mean that in the absolute truest sense of the word. So does it appeal to you? Is it a style that you're keen on? Is it a brand that you follow, or a brand that you might look at later on in your life?
Oh gosh, I've been following them for some time, and this is a true story. I was coming back from probably Germany a year or so ago, and suddenly came up that Struthers were going to be at Waterstones in Canterbury, which is not too far from where I live. So I basically landed, rushed back to where I live in Folkestone, jumped in a cab, went to Waterstones in Canterbury, and got there just before this due to start at 7 o'clock. And unfortunately, it got cancelled because of lack of awareness. Basically, that they didn't sell enough tickets.
Oh no.
But yeah, and I was absolutely gutted, and yeah, I didn't complain, but basically it had been cancelled for some time, but it was still being advertised for whatever reason. And ever since then, I mean, obviously before then I knew about them, but I'm desperate to see them in the metal, and it's just not possible. And that is what, coming full circle, that is what Best of British is about. It's bringing all of these brands. Unfortunately, not the likes of Roger Smith. He sticks to the Alliance, which is fair enough. But other brands, other smaller brands, other independent, well-meaning brands in the UK together and show off what they're producing at this moment in time. That's all that this is about, is to bring everybody together. People who don't have the opportunity to go and see Fears at their boutique, which is an amazing space in Bristol. And then, and most of these other brands do not have a retail space. The only time you get to see them is either on their website or at events like this, at the Alliance events or Best of British or the local Red Bar event. And people want to see them. They're desperate to see them. But I know that London is the central hub of the watch industry. You get to see everything's in London. All the big brand boutiques are there, so the Swiss ones, German ones as well. But one of the things that came out of the event from last year in Brighton was that people don't necessarily want to go into London. They just want to stay in their area, and we had a catchment area of people from Portsmouth all the way down to Folkestone. So it's a big area, but people just don't want to go into London. If there's no need to go into London, why go into London? They would rather stay in the area. So I think going forward, and this is totally off topic, of course, from the original question about Roger Smith and other British brands, high-end British brands. But I think regional events are possibly a way forward, as opposed to just centralizing it in London, the capital, because the UK is a big space. It's a big world, and there's watch collectors all over the place.
I mean, you're absolutely right, and there's a lot of good stuff popping up, because I spoke to Hamish Robertson of the Watch Collectors Club just a week or so ago, and his episode will air in a few weeks' time, I believe, in advance of the next event he's hosting in Manchester. But he also has one up in Glasgow as well. And you're absolutely right. I mean, traveling down to London on the train from Manchester is best part of a couple of £100 unless you get lucky with early tickets. So it's not easy. And I know Josh, Joshua Clare Flagg used to do. Well, he still does the Watch It All About events, like as associated with his blog 12 and 60, and they would be held in accessible locations if you had a car. Like, yeah, I remember there was a couple in like a hotel in near Coventry, I think it was, and it was fine. Like for me to pop down, it was like an hour and a bit drive, like nothing, and preferable to go into London. But if you don't have a car, also difficult. So yeah, these smaller local events, they are attractive, but a big part of it for brands will come down to costs, because while it isn't the fans that need to travel, it is the brands that need to get to these more remote locations. Okay, Brighton's not exactly in the middle of nowhere, but it's you're on a one-way direction towards the sea if you come out of London and head into Brighton. So there's only one direction you can go to get to it. So you've obviously succeeded in creating a nice little cohort of brands. You've got 15 brands minimum showing. We expect another one or two to maybe join the cartel before events kick off in September. We'll go through each of those brands individually and talk about them at length. By the way, great segue back to your own event. Are you coveting my role as a podcaster? Is this why I'm on your hit list?
No comment.
No, geez, you're so chilling. In real life, you're so warm and fuzzy and nice, but over the phone, it's like dead-eyed killer. All right, let's get into it then. Let's get into it. All right, so I've got these brands listed in front of me pretty much in alphabetical order. We'll start at the top so that there's no preference shown. We're going to talk about Appiar, APIAR, a new brand following in the footsteps of Halthenrix, we could say the Dutch 3D print maestros, by doing something similar. But of course, there's so few brands doing this on a high level. There's plenty of space for more than one to experiment with the technology. And just once again, I keep mentioning this because people often sort of point to Halthenrix as the beginning of 3D printing in watchmaking, and I certainly do concede that it is the beginning of the refinement of the processes, maybe, but I still remember Richard Hoptroff doing this stuff 10 years ago, 10 years plus. I don't know if you ever knew Richard or if you have had anything to do with him, but he used to make these absolutely crazy creations that, they're mad scientist kind of stuff, but they had 3D printed cases as well, way back in the day. So just want to give a little nod to Richard, because again, another British-based brand that was doing things way ahead of time. And here we are now having Appiar taking it in a new direction. Aesthetically, obviously, there is a bit more similarity between it and Halthenrix than Hoptroff. If you want to check out Hoptroff, you can still find images of the watches online and even reviews of my own from a blog to watch way back in 2015. But talk to me about Appiar. When did you get to know the guys behind the brand? What do you think of it? And what do you expect them to bring to the fair in September?
Appiar are interesting brands. I only come across them quite recently, and they are interesting the way that they look at watches and they manufacture watches with regards to 3D printing. I didn't realize that 3D printing isn't, for watches certainly, isn't as new as I thought it was. Thank you for that history lesson about 3D printing, Rob. I didn't realize it's actually started around about 10 years ago. So I think, going forward, this sort of technology, along with various other new materials, various ceramics, and also various different golds that people come up with, setting the gold for Omega and various other golds that AP use. It's just a different percentage in one of the materials, but basically it's effectively the same. Material choices is an interesting factor going forward in the watch industry. I think not so much dials, and certainly not dial colors, but the whole construction of cases is, I think, an interesting way to differentiate different brands, and Appiar are going in a certain direction with their 3D printing. I like it. I think it's fascinating. I really do.
Will you buy one?
No, not at this moment in time. And the reason is, it's the same with ceramic watches. after 10, 15 years, I mean, ceramic watch has been around for that sort of time. Nobody seems to know exactly what happens. Do they just shatter? And I know they won't, to be perfectly honest. But I know that they have a tendency just to crack if you drop them incorrectly. So I'll wait for a couple of more years before I purchase an APR watch, just purely because I don't know what the longevity of it is. That's all it is.
I know it's a pointed question to have asked and maybe put you on the spot a bit there because and thank you, by the way, for answering honestly with thought behind the answer, because I mean, you've got 15 brands displaying here minimum, and it would be totally understandable if you wanted to just blow smoke up the arse of every single brand and say, yes, of course I'd buy this watch, I'd buy the entire collection. But as watch collectors, we know we can't buy everything. And there are watches that maybe we would buy if means were no object, and there are watches that we respect that we still wouldn't buy because they don't sit well with us, and there are watches that we wouldn't buy, even those maybe that fall into the previous category of watches we respect for whatever reason because of this uncertainty about longevity. But it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because as a journalist, I frequently get excited by true novelty, and I had some good conversations about this recently, about the nature of hype and whatnot. And I appreciate that people reading watch journalism can become somewhat jaded by what seems, at least to them, as hype when something new happens in the industry and everybody's suddenly talking about it and everybody's going crazy about it, and that there's a disproportionate amount of coverage about a certain thing, whether it's ceramics, whether it's 3D printing, whether it's form watches, whatever it is. From afar, it looks like, okay, there's a reason like these journalists are biased in some way. And it's very, very understandable why a lot of consumers of watch journalism may, by this point, be a bit cynical, because so many established media platforms have tried to strike that balance between commercial and impartial, selling watches or selling positions on their website, media positions, while also trying to provide news and coverage and genuine opinion that isn't stimulated by silver crossing palms. So I can get why people can say, oh, well, this seems a bit suspicious. All these journalists are going crazy about this one new thing. But then we get enthusiastic about something because we see so much of the same. When we see something different, like statistically for us, it's a huge anomaly, and it's a huge privilege to get to write about something that uses words we've never used before in our articles. Over the many years that I've been writing about watches, I've noticed I've developed stock phrases. I've developed a few terms that have now seemed to have caught on in the industry. Little things that I say that I've always lent on when I'm writing that have been picked up by other journalists and now seem to be established nomenclature for describing things like lume homogeny is my favorite to describe the comparative glow strength between the dial and the dial markers in the hands, which one of my bugbears when people get it wrong or don't pay any attention to it. But my point is, I noticed a couple of years ago, I was starting to sound a bit like a bot. I was starting to sound a bit like ChatGPT, because okay, I've got my way of writing. I see a watch. These are the things I talk about. This is my style. This is how I go about it. And okay, fine. Writers should have a style. But then I decided I was going to try and step back from writing a little bit. And I was going to try and open up the door for new writers to come in and take my place. Because I was like, do people really need to hear another long-winded, philosophically tinted article by Rob Nuds about watchmaking? I thought maybe you can do 10 or 12 a year is enough, but you don't need 10 or 12 a month. So when we get something like this, something new that comes along, we're like, yeah, this is incredible. Look at the work that APR are doing. Look at the research and development that's going into this. Look at the money they're pouring into this so that we will all benefit from this technology in the future. Downside is when the question, would you buy one, is posed to people that respect it, like you, like me, and the answer remains, no, I wouldn't. How can we expect those brands to continue doing the good work about which we're so enthusiastic, in the hope that that will eventually manifest in something more refined and wearable and long-lived for the future? It's an interesting question, right? As a collector of watches, as a person, especially you, who spreads the love of watches through the events that you organize, do you ever question whether you have a responsibility to put your money not where your mouth may be, but where your heart wants to be?
Very, very good question. Obviously, if I had unlimited wealth, I would purchase every single watch from every single brand. But realistically, there are many factors which nobody makes you buy a watch, influence you to purchase a watch. It could be the form factor, it could be the size, it could be the bracelets or the strap, it could be all sorts of the colorway, it could be the lugs, the shape of the lugs. There's all sorts of reasons why somebody would purchase or not purchase a watch. And with me, I love the intricacies of what they are doing. It's a fascinating field what they're doing. It absolutely intrigues me how they're going to come up with different designs, different dials, different dial colors using 3D printing. It's an interesting fact or factor of purchasing a watch. Now, some people will take a chance and say, yes, we don't mind. We believe in this technology and we believe it will last, to the next generation. That's fine. Unfortunately, I'm on the fence. I don't know much about it. I'm sure it will last. Don't tell me as soon as you buy it's going to crack or anything like that. But I'm more into traditional materials and certainly traditional colorways. I mean, I'm just looking at the one at the moment. This looks like a spider's web. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. However, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I mean, we're going to talk about another brand shortly, where the watches. I love the watches, I love the design, but they're just too small. That's another reason why I just wouldn't buy it. It's not to say that what they are producing is wrong. It just doesn't suit me and my belief in a watch or philosophy in watch buying. That's all it is.
All right, well, even though we've got this list in alphabetical order, let's jump straight to that brand now so we can have a direct comparison rather than put it on the shelf. Which brand are you talking about?
That Scottish brand, Pauline.
Oh, Paulin. Okay, so a brand with which I've been working quite closely recently. Yes, some of the watches are pretty small. In fact, there aren't any big ones in the collection, one would say. But you like the design, you like the style, you like what they're doing. You just can't wear them yourself because of your wrist.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with the watches at all. The colors are funky. They are really, really cool, really legible. And even the Serpenta model, where the indices are very, very clean, but the lettering or the numerals are interesting to say the least. I like it. I really like it. That's a fun watch. But unfortunately, they are too small.
It's a tough one to read after you've had a few pints. Actually, I might revise that to the opposite. Maybe it's the best watch to have after a few pints because maybe the numbers come into focus when normal numbers would bleed out. I will drink some pints and tell you.
Yes, you're going to do the experiment for us.
Okay, so Pauline's going to be at the Best of British Watches as well. Anordain will not be there, but of course they are sister brands. So if you have any questions about Anordain, I'm sure the Pauline team will be more than happy to either answer or find an answer for you. Let's go back to our alphabetical list. Let's go to Bowcroft next. Now, Bowcroft made a big noise during the British Watchmakers Day with their rather cool retro-inspired special edition. What are they going to be showing at the Best of British Watches?
Well, they will be displaying their current collection. I do like Bowcroft a lot. They are based in Cambridge, so it's not too far for them to drop down into Brighton. Would I buy one? Yes, yes. Actually, truth be told, my wife does want a Bowcroft watch, so I probably will be buying one, but it'll probably be for her. I'm sorry to say, but I will probably get an extra strap so I can wear it. Again, they are clean watches. I love the design. On the bracelet, they look incredible, but of course, my wife likes them on the straps. They are funky dials, and the numerals are legible, the indices are legible. There's nothing not to like about it, and they do wear very well. So yeah, they are a great brand. Relatively new. They've been going for 5 years. Is that about right? I think.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And this is the second year they're coming to Best of British Watches. So thank you, Bowcroft and the team for continued support.
You know what I always think when I see Bowcroft? So for me, they're a little bit of a throwback in the current microbrand scene in that they are much more generic in their styling. There's no doubt about that. They don't do anything wildly new aesthetically, but what they do very, very well is execute. Like, everything about these watches is really well made. You can even see it on the images, which is actually a real bonus, because normally we say with brands like this, you got to get it in your hands and then you'll understand it. And sometimes it can be a bit of a cop-out because, a lot of people won't be able to get it in their hands. And then even if they do, maybe it's a bit esoteric to say, oh, you'll feel it when you feel it. But these watches, you can see, and it's great photography, by the way, on a website, but you can see there are levels. There is great finishing on the indexes, on the hands. The bracelets themselves, they look like tanks, but as if they've been dolled up for a parade. Is all. I mean, the finishing is top. And okay, it's not like Lange & Söhne hand finishing every movement component. That's not what we're talking about. But we're talking about a good, solid, reliable watch in a digestible form that people are very comfortable with, and it's well under £1,000, between £500 and £800 for one of these watches on a bracelet. Great quality product. Now, I do think that the Element collection, the 39.5 model, which is really what I'm describing when I'm talking about these pieces, is by far and away the most impressive piece that they do. The Seeker at 37 and the Signature at 40 are not really my cup of tea. But the Element I would buy. The special edition they dropped at British Watchmakers Day was really cool. It was called the Penfold. It was a collab with, I believe, an artist going by the name Penfold.
Yes.
A beautiful watch, a bit of a classic. It strangely reminds me of an old Tissot two-timer that I've got from the early 90s, which is a weird comparison because it looks nothing like it, but the colors are similar. Yeah, a great little pickup. I think it's sold out now, the Penfold, of course, but the Element collection is still freely available. So go along, check out Bowcroft. And yeah, when you have had them in your hands, dear listeners, please let us know what you think, because I think that they are just extremely well-made watches. And although they may be in the minority now of like micro brands or up-and-coming independents in terms of the ambition of their designs being relatively low, their quality is extremely high. So if that's what you want, if you are a bit more of a conservative buyer and you want to buy local, then try Bowcroft on your wrist. Talking of local, doesn't get much more local than Duckworth Prestex, run by the legendary Neil Duckworth. What do you think about the brand? What do you think about Neil and the way he runs it?
Neil's an interesting character. I have a lot of time for him. Neil's been in the industry for, a number of years. And I think, wasn't he the first person? He was the UK rep for Tag Heuer, if I remember rightly.
I feel like there's about 25 firsts that you could attach to Neil's name and they'd all be true. It just feels like he's been around for forever as far as I'm aware.
A great guy, great character. And he's finally produced his own brand. They are very bright. A California dial he did a year or so ago. That was, I think, I'm ashamed I missed out on that one. But that was really, really nice. And of course, the cushion case. I do love a good cushion case. And we'll talk about another brand who does a cushion case very, very well soon. But yeah, the limited edition California dial is beautiful, especially in the yellow. I do like it. I think it did a blue one, ice blue color dial earlier last year. But yeah,
there was a blue, a green, a sort of salmony color, and also a yellow in that California line. My personal favorite from Duckworth Prestex is the Parker, the rectangular model.
Right. Yes.
I love the blue dial version on the suede. I think it's an absolutely heavenly wear.
I know what you mean. I have an issue with rectangular watches in general, and it's nothing to do with the design. It's just generally my wrist.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that. I would love a rectangular watch, and I do have one. Do have a fashion one somewhere, but I just can't get away with rectangular watches, which is a real shame because I do like JLC Reversos.
Yeah, that's a classic, and it is nice to be able to mix it up with a different case form, of course. And I think I actually have had quite a few rectangular watches over time. I don't have many left. I did move on from a lot of them. I still have my old Hamilton Ardmore, which I think is technically a ladies' watch, but I've been wearing it for years and I've always enjoyed it. It's it's a quartz. It's easy to strap on and forget about. It looks great with a suit. And I believe it was a model favored by Richard Gere, although that might just be a urban myth. But if it's good enough for Richard Gere, it's probably good enough for me. Let's skip ahead again on this alphabetical list and talk about a brand that has cushion-shaped cases, because you mentioned them. I'm guessing you're referring to Fears.
I am indeed. I am indeed. Fears are a brand which is very dear to my heart. So I know Nicholas very well. Over the past few years, we've gone on holiday together. That was really quite fun. And I do have a few Fears watches. I even have a custom one, which he did for me as well. They are exquisite, elegantly understated, as per the tagline. They are just Nicholas knows what he's doing. That's all I can say. The onion crown, the cushion case, the colours he chooses, the mother of pearl, both pink and blue. Uh, he's just knocking it. Every single year, he does something different, and every single year, 100% executed to the best of their ability. He's got a wonderful team down in Bristol. He's producing watches um, which are absolutely fantastic. And he's at the event at Brighton. He's going to be there. He's going to be fresh from Geneva Watch Days, where they are launching three new watches at Geneva Watch Days the week before. And the following week, he's going to be in Brighton with us. And he will have the three new watches available to see in person, which will be the first time people in the UK will have a chance to actually see them in the metal. So that's another reason just to come to the event to see the new watches before anybody else. But yeah, I just love Fears, really do love Fears. What can I say, Nicholas? You're a star.
He is. Poor man doesn't rest. He's constantly traveling around the world and often dragging numerous members of his excellent team with him. And that's a great thing to see. The Fears family, as it were, has become one of the most visible and I would say most sought after groups to hang out with when it comes to events like Geneva Watch Days or Watches and Wonders, because they're always on form, always got something interesting to say, and always up for a party. Are you following the progress of Angus Collins, the rower, the endurance athlete, mental health advocate, as he attempts to row all the way around Britain?
I am indeed. I am indeed. I know he had a bit of a mishap with his first launch. I know that basically he broke the boat. So the actual delayed in starting. But yeah, I am following him, and I hope he does reach the 250,000 pound mark soon, very very soon. I'm a big advocate of what he's doing. Mental health, I say male mental health is surprisingly on the rise. Serious help is needed. There's something you should know, which you don't know, nobody really knows about me, is that, and this is an exclusive for you, I am actually a certified Samaritan.
Are you really?
Yeah, so I actually listen to people who are at desperate need of help, and they phone us literally as a last resort, and we listen to them, listen to their problems. Not so much give them advice, but we're just there to listen and to understand where they're coming from and the issues that they have. And so I know exactly what he's doing, and a strong advocate for it. What he's doing, Samaritans is just one of the many possibilities that people can contact if you are in dire need of support. So just saying that.
Well, good on you for doing the work and for making yourself available for people in desperate needs of someone to talk to and someone to help them work through their issues. If you want to donate to the Great British Odyssey Challenge that Angus is currently undertaking to raise funds for James's Place, which is a charity focused on preventing suicides and providing hope for people who are struggling with their mental health, you can go to the Just Giving page, which you will find at justgiving.com/page/GB Odyssey, or one word. He's going for £250,000. He's 35% of the way there, but I don't think he's quite at 35% of the way around Britain at the moment. So there's still plenty of time to donate while he is out there on his own, rowing away to raise awareness for an essential charity and service that who knows whether any of us will need in the future. Okay, so that was Fears. Nice to touch on that subject as well. Angus was on the pods, and he's a remarkable man and has overcome a huge amount in his own life and is doing a great job to help other people that find themselves in similar situations. Let's move back to the alphabetical list. We're going to talk about Benjamin James, who's getting quite a lot of pop on the Real-Time Show at the minute. He was on a couple of weeks ago himself. Benjamin Adams, that was the founder of Benjamin James. Okay, Benjamin James watches, known mostly for their Scarifor collection. They will be showing at the Best of British Watches in Brighton on September the 13th in the afternoon between 1 and 5 p.m. at the Old Ship Hotel in Brighton, for anybody that missed that at the top of the show. Tell us more about Benjamin James. Do you own one? Oh, it's rectangular, so no, you don't, and no, you won't. What about your missus? Maybe?
No, maybe, yeah. I think these are not quite her cup of tea. I mean, I do love the colours. He's done a mother of pearl, which is absolutely exquisite. But yeah, I like Benjamin James. This is the second year in a row he's going to be there, and yeah, full support from him. He's a great guy. And the watches are fantastic. I do like the Fume dial ones that he's done previously. They remind me a bit of the Rador ones which were released a couple of years ago as well. But yeah, they're beautiful, extremely well priced at just around about the £500 mark. And yeah, I do like the design. They remind me of the Cartier Tank, of course, or Santos, and JLC. So yeah, they are lovely. But the bracelet reminds me of, believe it or not, Patek.
Well, I believe that. I mean, there was a running joke, and I think we talked about it on the show briefly about how the Cubitus ripped off the Scarifor, which...
Yes, or vice versa, yeah.
No, definitely not vice versa. It was definitely Ben's idea. Don't you think Ben looks a bit like a rock star, like he should be a guitarist? And like,
yes, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. 100%. He certainly does.
I always expect him to break out into song, or to be wearing an extremely wide-brimmed hat indoors. I've never seen him do it, but I think he could pull it off.
What sort of genre do you think?
Sort of like a Quaker, not a Quaker's hat, like a sort of, I don't know, like a plague doctor's hat, yeah? Like a really low crown sort of bowl, but with a massive wide...
Okay. And what type of music do you think?
Like sort of Hosier, Mumford & Sons, Fleet Foxes, that sort of thing.
Really?
Yeah, I reckon he'd smash it. If he gets the song right, he's got the look. All he needs is the songs. He probably plays the guitar anyway. Look at him. Definitely plays the guitar. Definitely.
Yeah, probably,
Let's ask him. Let's ask him.
I will do, but I'll see him.
All right, okay. So, yeah, that's Benjamin Adams of Benjamin James. I love that Mother of Pearl one as well. That is my favourite. It will be produced again, but in limited quantities. The Fume dials remind me a bit of some of Circular's dive watches, actually. Very strong Fume. So I like it. I like the colours chosen. They're bold. So they're very arresting. But for me, the Mother of Pearl was the pick of the bunch.
Yeah.
Moving on, let's go to one of the biggest brands showing at the event. That's Christopher Ward. Now, they are also going to be rocking up with a new release, I believe, but we don't know anything about it, right?
That is correct. As far as I'm aware, they're going to be showing off a new release. I don't know what range. Could be the 12Cs, could be the C65. Who knows? But they are bringing out so much stuff, recently, and it's going to be fantastic. Whatever they do. I mean, GPHG winners, maybe again this year. Who knows? With one of the new releases from earlier in the year. But yeah, third year in a row. Fantastic to see them again supporting this event. And it'd be good to see Declan and the gang there with all the watches. They'll probably bring the complete range again. And yeah, it'll be a chance for people to have sight and to feel the releases and the current collection.
Very good. Well, let's stick with the Christopher vibes and go straight over to Edward Christopher watches, who are showing now. Edward Christopher, a brand I've had in hand again, not doing anything wild, but pulling together some less often seen aesthetic quirks and putting them all in one quite affordable package. So we've got like 2 crowns, 1 at 2, 1 at 4, some deeply engraved dials with a guilloche style pattern, bright colors, internal rotating bezel, very 70s inspired case with, let's call it an integrated strap, shall we? Because it is quite important to use the intended straps on these watches because they have a very small notch for the strap attachment. What do you think of Edward Christopher? Is it a watch in your collection? Is it a watch that you would recommend to other people? And why are you glad to have them at the event?
Unfortunately, I don't have one in my collection, but obviously I do like the design. He's an interesting chap as well. He's only been going for about 3 years, something like that, and this is the second time he's going to be at the event. The watches themselves, yeah, he's not redesigning or coming up with something quirky which will, make a standard USP to, gravitate to purchasing them. But they are very, very well constructed. The colors he's come up with are absolutely beautiful. The purple and the pink, and there's a very, very, very light blue, which I do adore. But they're just well constructed. Doesn't take himself too seriously, and it's just a good, solid British watch. What's there not to like? If you like that aesthetic, certainly. I mean, sub £1,500, I think, generally. But yeah, they are nice. They are very, very nice, and good to see him again.
Talking about rock solid build quality, this is perhaps what Elliot Brown is most known for. We'll move on to them. Now, this is a brand that just looks like it's been around for years and has got its market perfectly figured out. It's an interesting one. I would say, I won't say it's critical, it's just as I see it, unremarkable, but reliable beyond compare. Now, it's a tough one to stand out from that crowd doing stuff like that. But I mean, Elliot Brown has succeeded with a mixture of, yeah, again, excellent execution and really affordable prices. We're talking around 650 quid for most of the range. You've had these in your hands many times. Can you attest to their build quality?
Oh, absolutely. I've nearly purchased one. I nearly bought they did a Land Rover one about 2, 3 years ago. Black dial, black bezel, absolutely gorgeous, rock solid. You could literally crack a nut with it, I'm sure. And they are extremely tough, extremely wearable, extremely durable. Yeah, that is a watch you could, take swimming, climb a mountain, go in a desert, and it just wouldn't affect it at all. Extremely rugged. And yeah, I like it. I really do like them. I'm a big fan of Elliot Brown, and what they're doing, what they're achieving. This is the second year they've come in now. They did the first year. Last year they gave it a miss. This year, hopefully they're going to be there and bring a new collection as well, or new pieces for people to see.
Going from silhouettes that we've seen many times before to a brand that is known for doing things nobody expected to see on a luxury watch, Isotope, run by the incredible Jose Miranda, who has never ceased to entertain his audience, let's put it that way, ever since Isotope was launched, which feels like the best part of a decade ago now. I'm actually not sure when it came out, but it's been around a while. It's even gone through a rebrand. It's been around for so long. It's titillated watch fans up and down the nation and around the world with its slightly tongue-in-cheek, light-hearted releases and willingness to experiment with color and icons that many brands would veer away from for fear of being seen as too frivolous. What do you think about Isotope and what Jose's done in the lifespan of the brand?
What can I say about Jose? Sure. Well, I do love his watches. I really do. I remember meeting him about, I had this discussion with him last time I saw him about 8, 9 years ago at a Red Bar London event. And we were in a bar in Russell Square where they had the event. And he had he had a prototype of one of his watches, an Isotope watch. And I think, who is this chap trying to sell me a watch? Well, a brand I've never heard of. Okay, it was quirky and fun at the time, but I'm not gonna purchase a watch from this chap. 8 years later, 9 years later, lo and behold, the Isotope brand is up and running and selling to everybody in the world, and everybody loves them, and quite rightly so. They are very, very well executed. Um, they are beautifully designed, quirky, fun, and I think this is what the watch industry needs: is quirky and fun, not to take itself too seriously, as opposed to the Swiss. And fantastic for Jose, and keep on what you're doing, mate. Keep on doing what you're doing. It's incredible.
I just want to give a shout out to another mutual friend of ours, Miguel Sebra, the sports journalist, who currently, because we're recording 2 hours. It's 2 hours away from the Wimbledon final between Alcaraz and Sinner right now. I am desperate to get rid of Kevin so I can go and watch it. And Miguel will be there commentating. Now, if you're not a sports obsessive like me, maybe you wouldn't know Miguel from that part of his life, but you may have heard his name from his collaboration that he did with Richard Benz from Studio Underdog for Wimbledon, the Strawberries and Cream Series 1 that was released and snapped up by hundreds of buyers in its brief availability window. And he's also collaborated with Jose on this Isotope Chronograph Compact's Moonshot Terra Maris model. And he's just got such a great sensitivity for color and the application thereof. He's just got an eye for it, which wouldn't surprise me with a man that's traveled the world watching top level sport for the majority of his career, seeing all the different jerseys and outfits that athletes wear around the world. He sees some creative colors coming from some of the greatest minds charged with those tasks, such as Nike, Puma, Adidas, you name it. He knows how to use color in a way that many people don't. And what he's created with this particular edition of this chronograph is something quite special. So check that out. That's the chronograph Moonshot Terra Maris, co-designs with Miguel Seabra, famed sports journalist, ardent tennis fan, who will definitely be sitting at centre court as we record right now, anticipating a wonderful final between the top two tennis players in the world. And I'm very excited. Can you tell in my voice I'm very excited? I'm very happy for him. I'm extremely jealous, seethingly jealous. If I could have one man's job in the industry, given the fact that Miguel straddles both this and the sporting world, it would be his, because he does a fantastic job. So there's no chance of me taking his. But if ever an opening arises, I will be there, microphone in hand, Strawberries and Cream in the other. Could you imagine?
Good for you. Don't forget, Jose's also done a collab with one of the great watch writers of the last 10 years, watch magazines as well, the Rake Revolution, Waco.
Oh, of course.
He's done the Isotope Mercury, which was a completely mirrored watch with mirrored hands. Absolutely incredible.
Maybe there's no coincidence that the model that Miguel designed is completely matte and totally reflection free. So he can wear it in the commentary box and not blind Alcaraz or Sinner with a flick of his wrist. Whereas Wei's version of the Mercury is it's a flight hazard. I mean, for goodness sake, it's the most mirrored watch possibly in history. I can think maybe the only one that holds a torch to it, and please add to this conversation if you can think of another, but there was a Bulgari Octo Finissimo limited edition.
You're right.
Yeah. Also similar concept, but I think the Mercury takes the biscuit, because if I remember correctly, that Bulgari had a dot pattern print on either the dial or the crystal, which did something in the way of dulling the glare, but not much. Crazy watches, crazy creativity. Jose's a legend. Isotope has established itself firmly as a British brand with Portuguese roots, unlike any other. Moving on. We're almost there now, only 5 to go. Pinion, been around for a long while. Piers Berry at the head of the company still. What do you think about this brand? Is it one that calls itself a member of your collection?
It nearly has. And I'm still considering it, definitely. Piers did he was invited to do a watch with Mercedes-Benz UK. Limited run of watches specifically for members of the group, and I have not bought one, but I'm possibly still thinking about it. The only issue is it's just a little bit too small. That's the only issue, but great designs, great watches that he's produced, and let's hope he does much more collaborations and also expand his present collection as well.
Before I was a watch journalist, when I was a watchmaker working for Omega and latterly Bremont, I would walk around these events with my eyes wide open. Unbelievable. I found it that I was able to talk to the founders of these brands directly. And I remember getting a business card from Piers Berry, goodness knows how many years ago, probably right back when Pinion started out, I suppose. And I still have it. In fact, it's right next to me. It's in my business card folder on the shelf to my left. I still have it. I kept it because it was debossed, and I think it was the first time I'd seen a debossed business card. And I was like, wow, one day I hope I'm rich enough to have debossed business cards.
And are you?
Not yet.
Oh, no.
I suppose I could probably spring for it if I really wanted to. Maybe I'll think about it for next year. Need a refresh. Talking to someone that has even better business cards, though, probably the best business cards in the industry. In fact, if he ever decided to stop designing watches that thrill us all, then he could definitely go into business card consultancy, probably be able to work on American Psycho if they ever do a remake. It's Giles Ellis, of course, of Schofield.
How did I know you were going to say it?
Oh, because the description's obvious. The greatest designer, the greatest graphic designer, shall we say, that watchmaking has had in possibly its history. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, you can say what you want about Genta's cases and Bergeron's Mirage and all these excellent luminaries in the field like Giraud and Goethe and whatnot. But when it comes to graphics, when it comes to color, when it comes to decoration, when it comes to that balance of branding and product, then give me a better character than Giles Ellis. Just come on, throw out a name. I don't think you're going to have one.
No, I can't. No, I can't.
There you go. So what's to say about Giles? We've said a lot about Giles. Giles has been on the Real Time Show maybe more than anybody at this point, and there's good reason for it. He's an endlessly interesting man, creating endlessly interesting watches. If you don't know anything about Schofield, go to schofieldwatchcompany.co.uk, check it out and get down to the best of British watches and find out for yourself, because I don't think our words are going to do it justice. Let's just leave it there. Move on to Sher watches. This is SHER watches. Now, these are kids' watches. Definitely not for your wrist, Kevin. Maybe not even for mine, but what's the story here? Never heard of them.
You never heard of them? Well, they've literally just sprung out, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I've heard of them about 6-8 months ago, and they are what I think watch industry should be about, bringing in kids nowadays to tell the time effectively. I mean, my wife is an ex-teacher, and she comes home with horror stories about children not being able to tell the time on a 12-hour clock. And she works in a secondary school, so it's shocking that kids nowadays do not know how to tell the time on a proper watch. They have to revert to their phone or some sort of digital time they have on their wrist. It's just not right. It's just not right. And I think Sher watches are trying to address that problem. And obviously, if you get them young enough, they'll get into analog watches. They'll purchase, another analog watch when they graduate, and then when they get married, and then when they have kids. And so it's just the whole process of, hopefully, people buying watches, analog watches in the future. Get them young and develop them, and, lo and behold, they'll be able to get a Patek Philippe.
Maybe.
Yes, exactly. What's their tagline?
Well, you never really own a Patek Philippe. You just look after it for the next generation.
Yeah, that's the one. No, that's what Sher watches should use as well as their tagline.
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, it's a stinging indictment of the state of education. Children can't read an analog clock anymore. I wonder whether I'm just too stuck in my ways when it comes to this. Do we need analog clocks? Am I being a fuddy-duddy? I know that they are naturally informed by things like sundials because of the passage of the sun, and this, like, the idea that we see, like, the rotational aspect of time is something that feels organically sensible to us because of the rotation of the Earth and the orbit and whatnot. But do we need it? I mean, I think we do, but I think I'm totally open to the possibility that I might just be wrong, and I might just be stuck in my little echo chamber where we're all like, oh, you've got to be able to read the time with an analog watch. I mean, your Breitling Airwolf would do the job just fine, wouldn't it, for one of these kids that can't tell the time on a normal clock?
Yes, but don't forget, it came with a slide rule, so you could actually use it to fly aeroplanes and do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. So yeah, that's one thing you can do with an analog watch, is fly an aeroplane.
Just a question.
Go on.
Right. Yeah, it's pertaining to the flying of an airplane. As you know, I'm a pilot. Like, it's a running joke in the industry. I'm not actually a pilot, so don't hire me for anything, but it's just a thing we say. Okay.
Oh, I love that picture of you in the cockpit. Is it a 747?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. Flies really nice, in case you're wondering. Well, the gear stick's a bit sticky, but it was that was a great experience. I'm not actually a pilot, but I'm pretty sure that you need more qualifications than an analog watch to fly a plane.
I think you could be right about that.
Yeah,
I think you could be right, but
I think.
yeah, I think
do
you're
more
right.
research. Okay, if any of our listeners know, answers on a postcard, please. All right. Next up, actually, hang on, I'm not done with Shure yet. So, if you Google Shure Watch, it's spelled SHER. Okay, that's really important. You're not going to find the website very easily. The SEO's trash. Okay, it's new brands. You'll find a review of it on Time and Tide, right? That's the first thing that'll pop up. So Time and Tide is doing Shure a solid here by giving them some visibility. The price of this watch is, I believe, 95 quid or 110 euros where I am. It's got a fully luminous dial. The hour segments are like clearly marked out, which I'm not actually sure is very helpful for telling the time. But, they've obviously done their, or you'd hope they've done their research, and they've devised this display as something that will help kids tell the time. I guess that they are marking out every individual minute so children can just easily read off the dial. It's a 32 millimeter diameter stainless steel case. Very, very, very refreshingly, this watch is water resistant to 100 meters at only 9 millimeters thick with a 16 millimeter lug width. So plenty of strap options, really easy for anyone to wear. Could be worn by a small wristed man or woman as well, I suppose. But it's a good effort on their part to really go for that water resistance of 100 meters, because obviously a kid's going to need a bit of robustness, but it also puts other brands selling watches for multiple thousands with 30 or 50 meters water resistance in their place. It's got a Japanese quartz Miyota 2035 movement and 2-year battery life. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Is it good? Well, it is a proper watch, I would say, and that's a decent thing for £100. If it does actually help kids learn how to tell the time, I can't say anything against it whatsoever. I think it's great. Do you think that they will find favor with a young audience, or the audience of, shall we say, they must be pitching to like established watch collectors, hoping to sell them to people that buy luxury watches with kids? What do you reckon?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously the comparison is the Flick Flack and Swatch watches,
Yep.
basically,
Yep.
which are much more colorful, and they target, kids, who want ponies and unicorns on the dial. This is not for them. This is for, as you say, watch collectors who want their son or daughter to have a proper watch with robustness. They can, they can damage it, definitely, but it's in a stainless steel case. It's compared to a plastic watch, which you just get thrown away.
It's a really interesting idea, and interesting is the word I'm going to stick with on this one, because I think that it's the kind of thing that, if I were having a couple of pints with a friend and we say, what is there a lack of in the luxury watch industry? I might sort of be tempted to say, there aren't enough cool options for kids. Then I think when I sobered up, I might think, well, there's probably a good reason for that. Like, kids don't have much money. And so the interesting thing about creating a product for a demographic that can't buy it themselves is you're not pitching it to that demographic. So this is clearly a watch that's supposed to be worn by children that's pitched at an adult. Whereas a Flick Flack is a watch supposed to be worn by a child that's pitched at a child. And they're affordable enough for an adult to make a much more spontaneous purchase. They're half the price, although they are creeping up, to be fair. They're half the price of this Shure watch. And the Flick Flack can be chucked in the wash, which I think is a great aspect of those watches. Now, that's not the only child's watch company we've seen. Didn't Cara Bennett start one, or is my mind playing tricks on me?
Oh, right. Yes, you're right. I haven't seen anything on it, but you're right. She has started one.
I'm sure she did. So she had like a nice, quite a cool attempt at designing a brand. Was it Parchy? Yes, was Parchy. Bright colours. So this is somewhere between a Shure and a Flick Flack. So Cara, for people that don't know, is a very well-known writer from Hodinkee. She's a watch expert herself. And she created Parchy, which is, well, I couldn't describe it better than I did the first time around. It is basically slap bang in the middle of the Shure and the Flick Flack concepts. It's a serious watch, but it's presented in very bright colors, a lot of fun. They were retailing at the time for $65, and they may not be in active business anymore, which may be, again, yeah, I've went on the website and it's got a sort of holding page on the homepage saying be back later. So there's nothing going on at the moment, which, if Cara Bennett, who is someone whose articles I read for years when she was very prolific at Hodinkee, can't do it, I worry for sure. Maybe don't tell them immediately. Give them, they don't need to know my pessimism. But, It's a tough market, is all I'm saying, because you can't talk to the kid directly. Maybe that's what Shure is doing that Partchy didn't do. Maybe Shure is trying to tap into the male watch collector's brain, because it is quite a masculine styled watch, to be fair, and get them to buy one for their kid. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Good luck to him. Let me know what the response is like to the people that get to see them in real life. Let me know if they sell any on site, because we believe that some of these brands will have some pieces available for purchase, but you didn't hear it from us because it's not official. Next up, Studio Underdog. Now, there's a brand that would have a chance of releasing a kids' watch and find some favor with their rabid audience. What do you think about that?
Oh, don't give Richard any ideas.
I don't need to. Richard's got enough ideas of his own. He doesn't need me coming up now.
But yeah, Richard will be there. The rumor is that they will have something released round about that time, so it'll be a perfect opportunity to see what's been festering in his brain and his team's brain, and what comes out at the Best of British Watches. So yeah, what can we say about Richard? Everyone knows about Richard and Studio Underdog. I think it's time to move on.
Yeah, all we can say is he's beloved industry-wide, done a great job, brought a lot of joy to a lot of people's lives. Great bloke, and long may it continue. Last one on the list, mate, is Zero West. It's a good one.
It is indeed. It's a wild one. Andrew. I love what they're doing. They're based towards Southampton on a nice idyllic part of the UK, just by a river, which hopefully doesn't flood too often. And their boutique is absolutely spectacular. They've got a aeroplane engine as a table inside. Have you been to it by any chance? Have you been to it?
No, I've not been to it, but I've seen the images of it so often. I feel like I have. I used to live not too far. I mean, I lived in Southampton when I worked for Swatch Group, but
of course, yeah.
I used to run around where they're based when I was marathon training. Used to get quite a bit further away from Southampton than I do now. And I've seen so many pictures of this boutique and know that kind of environment so well. I feel like I've been there a million times, but I definitely haven't. I'm 100% sure I haven't been. Should I go?
You should definitely go. You've been for a treat. Not just about the boutique itself and how they've designed it and how it looks, but of course the watches, which is the most important aspect. Their theme is to do with airplanes and the war airplanes especially, Spitfire, mosquitoes, and anything to Dam Buster and the airplanes associated with World War II and earlier, and possibly even later. Watch this space. But yeah, that's their ethos effectively, is that they prefer watches which are produced currently, but they look back onto the war, the Second World War, and incorporate bits of aeroplane into the watches as well. They are extremely well made. I do like them. I do like exactly what they're doing, and this is the third year in a row they're going to be there. Again, they are just some cracking pieces, but it's not in my collection just yet.
So I've got a favourite in the current lineup. It's the M1 Mosquito 41mm. I like the colorway of the dial. It's sort of John Player special black and gold with some red highlights. It doesn't have the coating on the detachable lugs, because I like sort of mono-colored cases, I think. And this one looks like one of the more wearable. They did have a really old model that is discontinued, and it's not in their like sold out list. So I can't find a reference of it, but I'm sure they had a model that had a slightly different case that is much missed by me, that I want to see come back. I think I've mentioned it to Andrew in the past, but I do like this 41mm Mosquito. I think that's a super cool watch. Which one would you put in your collection if you could pick one? If you could have any one for free right now, which one would you choose?
Oh, God. See, now it'll probably be the RAFC, which is sold out. I love that two-tone colorway. The white hand.
Oh, you like the stripy dial?
Yeah, I do like the stripy dial.
You know what that reminds me of?
Go on.
There was a watch that I was loaned in 2015 by a German brand called Elise. It was a chronograph. It was to commemorate it was either a German or Austrian racing driver. I think his name was Jochen Mass.
Jochen Mass, yep.
Is that a driver?
It is a driver, definitely a 4-in-1 driver.
Well, in that case, I must have remembered it from 10 years ago. There was a watch by Elise. It was a chronograph, and they sent it through. I was writing for a blog to watch at the time, and I reviewed it. And I think at first they wanted me to keep it. So I ended up wearing it for about 6 months or a year or something. I put it on a Yellow Dog watch straps rubber Zulu. And it was my favorite watch at the time because I didn't have any other watches because I was still a poor watchmaker back then. And then I think, I'm not sure whether it was because like some of the macro shots we took of the case were so macro, like it showed off sort of the lines of the finish of the polished finish on the crown, so it looked like striated.
Oh.
In real life, it didn't look scratched at all. It was just the macro was too strong, and there was that. I remember there being like quite a lot of people like giving it shit in the comments, and then I think the brand was a bit pissed off by the comments and asked for the watch back, so I sent it back. I honestly thought like it was like in the first year of my blog to watch career, and I thought, I've got a free watch at last because we didn't get to keep watches very often at all. Sometimes brands insisted on it, but it was one that I thought, this is a special watch for me, and I wore it for ages, and then I sent it back when he asked for it back. I wasn't going to quibble about it, obviously, but strange memory. Because it had the blue dial with the 2 white racing stripes exactly like that, which is very interesting. It is a vibe. I didn't like it when I first got it on my wrist, but I grew to love it over time. So I'd imagine I'd feel the same about the RAFC.
Yeah. It's cool. But it's something I don't have. I don't have anything stripes like that, but it certainly stands out. But that's a cool piece. A lot of time for Zero West and Andrew and his partner, and what they're doing down there on the South Coast is incredible. It really, really is. And there's lots coming from them in the future.
Yeah, they're cool guys, and they've got a great approach, and they're certainly creative. There's nothing that you'll find off the shelf in these watches. So go have a look at them if you're in the area. If not, head down to Brighton on the 13th of September to the Old Ship Hotel, the repeat venue for the 3rd year running, right? From Saturday in the afternoon from 1 till 5. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. They cost £7.50, excluding Eventbrite fees. But included in that ticket price, you'll get not only a drink, but yet another tote bag for your collection. So did I do that well enough? Is that all the details people need to know?
Yeah, that's basically it. Looking forward to seeing as many people as possible. And come, bring the family. Send them to the beach. Hopefully the sun's out, and I'm assuming that 90% of the people who attend will be male. That's why I send the family down to the beach. But they're obviously more than welcome to attend. We do have families that do turn up, wives, girlfriends, kids.
I told you about being sexist offline, didn't I?
You did, yes. That's why I did say 90%. Please bring the family. Please bring the family.
So here's a question for you: if any male or female or otherwise watch collectors want to bring their families along, do the kids have to buy tickets as well, or is there an age cutoff where, like, a baby doesn't need a ticket? I guess. What about a 3-year-old?
A baby doesn't need a ticket. A 3-year-old, no.
Is it because Sure are there, the kids need a ticket because they might be there on their own?
Oh, they wouldn't be allowed out on their own. Surely.
Imagine you get like a 5-year-old kid rocking up in like a full suit, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm here to see some Share watches." And like, "Have you got a ticket?" He's like, "I'm 5." And like, "Yeah, but you
need a ticket."
You need to think about these things.
Yeah, I do.
Tickets or not?
Kids under 16 do not need a ticket.
You've just made that up on the fly, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I might change it to under 10.
Kids under 16 go free, but they don't get a tote.
They don't get a tote, and they don't get a drink either.
All right. Okay. Well, that's a compromise. We can go for that. So kids under 16 go free. No excuse to not bring the family, especially not with Share watches there. Bring the kids down, get them to try the watches on, see what they think, give some valuable feedback to another new British brand trying to make its name in a very crowded but very exciting marketplace. Kevin, thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute terrible time for me. I've hated every minute of it. Shocking, as usual. See you in the future somewhere. Don't sit on me. I won't wear the velvet around you again. I promise. All right.
No, please do. I love it. You looked absolutely smashing when I saw you in that jacket. Honestly, mate, you looked cracking. Women beware. That's all I can say when he wears that jacket.
Cracking's the word if your threat comes to pass. That's for sure. Right. If anybody in the Real Time Show Network has any questions for this reprobate, please do get in touch with me. You can do so via the Real Time Show Network, which you can join by sending us a message via the usual channels, either our Instagram account at therealtime.show, either via our personal emails, that's either Rob, Alon, or David at therealtime.show, via the contact form on the website www.therealtime.show. And if you want to get in touch with Scarlett directly, you can find her on Instagram at ScarlinTheShire. That's ScarlinTheShire. We will be back soon with more top quality watch content and maybe Kevin and the industry innovators. Until then, stay safe and keep on ticking.